Okay, so everybody, today I'm speaking with the founder and co-CEO of Pragmatic Coders, Marcin Dziedzic. Is this how I pronounce your name?
Almost. It's Marcin Dziedzic, to be very precise, but you can
Okay.
say that Martin if you like.
Okay, Martin. So, yeah, he runs Pragmatic Coders, which is a Polish software house, and their vision is to become the world's most effective software development agency, according to their website. So we'll see how that looks, and I think that's a great place to start. So maybe thanks for joining me, and perhaps you can maybe for people who don't know about the company, tell us a little bit more. How big is the software house, and perhaps what is kind of your main vision, or what do you guys do that makes you different maybe than other software development companies?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So we are based in Krakow, Poland, and we are for 10 years on the market. So it's not that we started the company a couple of months or years ago. It's been some time. So as of now, we are quite close to 100 people. Last year we crossed 100. We've been like 110, I believe, with a small reduction this year. And as you can expect, as actually John said, our vision is to become the most effective software development company. And by that, what I mean is not only technical stuff, which is becoming easier and easier with every single year, but more on, if you have an idea, you come to us, we will break it down to the small pieces and simply figure out what's the 20% that gives you the biggest results. So our core team is actually composed of product owners, designers, analysts, and that team works through the ideas with the clients and simplifies them as much as possible. So answering your question, that's how we see ourselves become the most efficient, effective. It's not only about technology, where we also push the boundary with AI, embracing different AI tools as we go and testing pretty much all of the major players all of the time. I still believe that we will make the biggest change on the business side, figuring out like what's really needed in the idea, what's not that important, what can be postponed, what can be simplified.
Mhm.
And that philosophy is burnt into the company for at least 5 years now. So everyone who's working with us, who's hired, thinks that way, and people are constantly coached to make better business decisions, right? That's our secret sauce. And that's one thing. And the other thing, we are quite specialized. So majority of our clients come from the fintech space or medtech space. Doesn't mean we have other projects. Obviously, we have like probably like 30-40% is like the other cloud-based systems. But in fintech and medtech, we are the most, we have the biggest knowledge and experience and portfolio. That's why our website at least positions us that way.
Mhm.
So I hope that answers your question. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, with
Yeah. So if I have a project and I need 5 people as a body shop, I don't think you can help me, right? Because you would be more focused on the product and not really staff augmentation. Or do you also do that type of work
well,
that there's no like UI, there's no UX, there's no product, it's just development that
yeah,
that's.
we typically don't do staff augmentation. It's not been on our radar for a long time.
Mhm.
We do BOT. At least we jumped into that space, which is build, operate, transfer model for a big players around the world that want to open their office in Poland at some
Mhm.
point in time. But it's never going to be a very small staff augmentation team. So we pretty
Mhm.
much ignore all of the inquiries where someone wants one or two developers in
Mhm.
React, because simply I think this is not where we bring the biggest value. Because probably we have a bit people that are more highly skilled, not only focused on the code but also on the business side. That's why we are always looking to build the team and work either with client in very close cooperation or build a product for someone.
Mhm. Makes sense. So you've mentioned that you've decided to focus based on your experience on health and fintech. And I understand that most companies don't have a niche or they can't really define this when it comes to software development. But I mean, you chose two kind of positions, right? And they are slightly different. And I've seen that you have like custom landing pages for all of the, let's say, problems within fintech, problems within health. So each of them has a separate like a page. So that's really great. So how did you come to that decision that, okay, let's focus more on this and let's make this part of like the main messaging? Because other companies in Poland, they are just like, hey, we can help you build anything. Like, so why did you define yourself in those two maybe categories, health or fintech?
We've been defined for many years. So if we go back by 2 or 3 years, let's say before the COVID, or maybe even through the COVID, we've been working mostly with startups and scale-ups.
Hmm.
And our biggest promise was that we will go live with your product within 3 months. But over time, we also accumulated a lot of fintech and medtech experience. And I think for some companies, uh, it's quite natural to go to focus on electromobility, on fintech, on medtech, on insurance, right? It is just natural as long as you constantly work in that space. You build trading platforms as we did. So we created banks, trading platforms, cryptocurrency exchanges, even blockchain from scratch, and it's always connected to fintech somehow if you look at it, right? So that's quite natural for us. And the other companies that you mentioned, because I know both spectrums, right? All right, are typically much larger than we are. So if you look at the company that has, I don't know, 400, 500 people, they will not specialize in a single thing. They may have multiple verticals. But smaller companies, very small companies typically do anything, right? And let's say medium or medium small companies such as Pragmatic will focus on something. And that's the easiest way to have a bigger profit margins because you have expertise. You just don't trade people. Then if you combine that with business mindset, you can pretty much get very good deals with the clients. And even though you are a bit more expensive than, let's say, average software house, you will still be able to get those contracts because you simply make better impression on the client, and at the end of the day, you build that product faster than anyone
Mhm.
else.
Yeah. So if I said that, okay, I have this app, this idea for a fintech app, and I look at your mandate rates and it's like very high, I would say, well, I can just hire someone in Vietnam, right? So what's your like objection? Like, how do you handle that? Because that has to come out every time. Like I know it has to with your clients because you
Yeah.
work with foreign clients and they always look at the development rate or whatever, if you have an hourly or mandate or even if you fix scope. So how do you handle it so to clarify to them like, hey, okay, we're not the cheapest, because they will assume like I'm going to outsource my project to Poland, I'm not going to pay the UK rate hopefully, or US rate. So how do you handle that? Maybe it's not as such cheap that like maybe they expect, like maybe in Ukraine or in Vietnam, all these places. um, just demonstrating your experience, is that the main thing that you kind of go for? Because not every client values that. Some clients will just be very cheap because it's software development, right? It's commodity.
There are a couple of ways to do it, but the fundamental way and the most basic, I would say, is ask yourself the question: does time matters to you? Like how much time matters to you, right? Because what we can do is we can have a business people under like the team that understand your product and builds this faster because we can prove in the workshops that most of the things that you would like to build are absolutely not needed. Okay,
Hmm.
this is where we provide value. On the business side, we simplify your idea and build smaller product. If you go to any other standard, let's say team augmentation shop in Vietnam, they will build what you ask them to do. Okay, so the way we prove it to the clients is, we invite them to have workshops with us. So depending on the idea, on how complicated it is, and what's the stage at which the client is, it might be one day, it might be 3 days in case of very big projects, but we will invite a person or a group of people to our office, do the full workshops, and prove you what we can build and how we think. We are not going to prove how we code. Okay, so we just are not focused on the software side. Obviously, it pops up. There needs to be someone who understands technology, but if you work with business founders or managers who actually make decisions, in our case, because we typically do not engage with CTOs, it's the easiest way to prove them that the value is not in how fast you write the software, it's in the how you think about the product. Okay, and that's really easy to do. That's very
Yeah.
easy to do if you have an amazing team
Yeah.
that did it multiple times and knows what they are doing.
So you've mentioned that you don't really work with CTOs, although maybe they get involved in scale ups or in these bigger kind of deals.
Yeah, yeah,
So most software houses do work with CTOs. So
very
like,
much.
where do you then find the business buyers, or I guess founders, or I'm not sure how would you define, if you still work with early stage startups, probably not, maybe more funded companies, but like, where do you find these great leads? Because I assume also your positioning helps you generate leads because you have a very big content marketing, like kind of like what I've seen on your website, your blogs, and you invest a lot in content, which nobody does. And that kind of maybe helps. I don't know. So maybe you can walk us through like how do you build relationships with these guys? Maybe I understand majority will be through recommendations or referrals, but like do you have anything extra you're doing, like the content or some selling or whatever that also contributes to getting the right people who
Yeah.
understands this and they don't care about the price that much?
So we have a very good partner program that's tailored to people we actually know our brand. So at some point, maybe we used to work a couple of years ago, right? And we don't do business anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
a good portion of our past clients and actually current clients will recommend us through our partnership program, which is not really anything complicated or special. That's one of the things. The other thing is that the way I look, and pretty much we look at B2B business, especially software houses, is every founder, every manager, anyone, even any CTO, will know someone who built software somewhere. Okay, so valuable clients will go through recommendations
Mm-hmm.
because if I would be in a position where I want to build something Pragmatic never did, I have at least 10 people I can ask. Where should I go? So this is where we invest. One is partnership program. The other one is we go to different events around the world and meet with the people. But the secret sauce is that if you go to the event, you just ignore the event. You focus on the people and you find places where you can meet high quality, let's say future leads. But it's not about converting them on the conference or around the conference. If we meet someone and we uh, go along together quite well, we will provide the value to that person
Mm-hmm.
absolutely for free. It might be workshop in Mar, it might be our guidebook on how to build the business, it might be called consultancy with someone who works with us or someone we know from other countries. But you provide value first, then at some point in time you get business from this.
Mm-hmm.
And marketing, if you look at Pragmatic, you might have a opinion that we do a lot on the website and have a bunch of incoming leads from the inbound, which is not that true as it was 5 years ago, right? So we have only 2 people in marketing who do the content. Okay, it's just 2 people team. They do the content, social media,
Mm-hmm.
100 other things inside our company, at least in the marketing space. And we engage people from IT to write the content as well. But it is done so that we present ourselves and we always try to provide value not only in the meetings but also on the blog, on the tools we released for the free. So
Mm-hmm.
all in all, philosophy is very simple: meet as many people as you can and provide value to them. right? On
Yeah.
the website, in person, through your past clients. That's it.
Yeah, that's very, very good. But I'm afraid most founders will not get that because I mean we help software houses a lot with projects, and they just have this mindset of I want a project in like a month, and I need it now, and I don't want to provide any value, and I need it now, and so they expect a project from one email, and it's like, well, that mindset will not get you far, you know. And like we definitely use events. We have a client in Hong Kong now. They went to Singapore to attend an insurance event, and they have like a SaaS insurance product as an app front end to sell the software development on the back end. It's like perfect. Like we just meet insurance executives, and it's not technical at all. And we just then have the opportunity to, you know, engage in other stuff. So I completely agree. Like events are the key here, especially non-tech events, non-technical events, and just having a good process for scraping people and just arranging these meetings upfront. It's a must. But
Yeah.
again, most people don't even get that. Like it's so sad because it's a mindset shift, and I don't know how to fix that. It's something like
So
companies have to go through.
I see where you are going with it. So, a lot of people will think, I went to one event, we
Mm,
spent 20K, we get nothing immediately, right?
mm,
And that's wrong. That's not how you build a network. So you build network over time. It's not going to be there after one event, right? But at this event, you met maybe 20 high value people. Next event, you meet another
mm.
20. And at some point, you have 200 or more in
Yeah.
your network. And you constantly work with those people, and they will bring business to you. It's,
But the
some of
problem is they don't have this nurturing mindset that they have to stay in touch with them. So they expect from one, you know, interaction a deal or something which never is going, which is not going to happen. I remember when I went to Vienna and I met like these CTOs of corporate startups who were managing multiple teams, and we had a meeting, but then 9 months went by, and I stayed in touch. And then he opened up and, you know, got us a project, which then led to multiple projects. So it's like it's gonna happen in 6, 9, 12, 1 year maybe, but it's gonna happen if they are high quality. You know, you don't want to build a relationship with
we
not
have
interested.
people that came to us after 2 years.
Hmm.
Obviously, we've been in touch through that time, but it's been 2 years since we talked, and
Hmm.
only then we engaged into business to business conversation and
Yeah,
did some projects. So it takes time, right? It just takes time. And
exactly.
the crucial thing is to have a sales team that really knows your product and knows the software. So in our case, when we hired guys to the sales, we always hire someone who had a business in the past.
Hmm.
Okay, so we will never look for a sales guy who just does sales and maybe he understands IT. So we will look for a former founders that sold their businesses. Maybe they failed. Maybe circumstances changed on the market
Hmm.
and they didn't adjust. Whatever the reason is, that person needs to have an experience with business. Otherwise, he can't. He will never understand like the business person on the other side.
Yeah. Do you have a big sales team or like a couple
That's
of people?
including myself.
Okay.
And actually, we are hiring third person right now.
Hmm.
So the way it's going to be structured is every sales guy has a different region in the world.
Hmm.
And for us, are only three regions, right? There's states, there is UK and there is UAE. So
Hmm.
we would like to have a really skilled sales guy in all of those regions, visiting them at least every few
Like a
months.
local actually person from that region,
Not
right? Or
necessarily. Like local is perfect.
yeah,
We struggle to hire a local person that we can really trust
trust.
remotely.
Yeah.
We can do it through recommendation. And that's the only way I would
Mhm.
hire someone local.
Yeah, I agree. I never had any luck with that. And UAE is great. It's just too competitive. Every CTO is Indian there, so it's hard luck. It's much difficult. But all right. So maybe one more thing I wanted to ask. You know, you're a co-CEO, so like, what does that mean in terms of like you have another co-CEO? How do you make decisions? Just quickly, maybe I was wondering about the management. How does that work? Why did you decide even to split it like this?
Well, I think that it's been many years. So myself and Victor, which is co-founder, we know each other for more than 20 years. Okay, so in many cases we think in the same way, especially around the business. We obviously have different opinions on different things, but the way it is in our case, I'm more focused on the sales, marketing, and
Hmm.
bringing the business to us than anything else. Even though I used to be a programmer many years ago, and Victor is very passionate about agile and building, very efficient agile machine inside, like
Hmm.
the UX team, the product owners team, metrics, and all of the things that we need to build inside IT. And he does it with another Marcin, also a friend of mine who's working with us for a long time as a service delivery manager. So in our case, it's quite simple. I'm bringing business. They do the business. They operate. So
Hmm.
we operate the business as we go.
Makes sense. So in terms of next year, I've been 7 years in this industry and it's getting tougher every year. It's not just because of COVID or the war, but generally custom development is becoming kind of commoditized and there's just too much software houses. There's too much developers and not enough, projects maybe. And it's just a lot of our clients are suffering with like lower revenue than previous year and they're firing and all that. And I don't think that's going to actually stop. I just think the people who survive are going to make those decisions that they have a niche, they have some specialty, they will kind of be different than the majority. What do you think about the future of the whole industry in terms of, you know, outsourcing software development, or although you can say product development, but still the whole IT custom stuff? Um, what do you think is going to
Yeah,
be
I
kind
think
of the future?
I'm pretty sure that small team augmentation projects, like 1, 2 people here and 1, 2 people there, that's going to die. Probably, or maybe bigger projects will become smaller. But all in all, I think that it will be very good for Eastern Europe, just because if you take, let's say, any project, let's say it costed $1 million a year ago, okay, or maybe 5 years ago, that would be 1 million. In 2025, that the same project will be 250,000. Okay, so why would I go to India, the unknown, if I can have this? If the price is smaller, as a business person, I would pick someone who's closer to me, if
Do
that
you
makes
mean
sense.
like the budget will be less because it's like easier to
The budget
develop?
will be less because it is faster to produce
Yeah.
it. So
Okay.
what is happening with the software? It's go through, let's say, automation phase, right?
Hmm.
So some of the things will be done automatically through AI, through coding assistants, through agents,
Yeah.
somehow, right? I'm not software developer for years, but it will be that way. So what the business thinks, like the reason to outsource to India was because I can pay 500,000 and if they will charge me 1 million in Europe, right?
Hmm.
What if in India they will charge you 400,000 and you will pay 300,000 in Europe? Or sorry, the other way around, 400 in Europe and 300 in India, right? So automation will make it easier for us to compete with Indian teams, with Romanian teams, with anyone else. So honestly, I do not think software will struggle unless something major will happen, like AI, AGI, general artificial general intelligence.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's this is a B2B business where you outsource sometimes some type of skills, and that includes business thinking, that includes someone who writes the software or talks with the AI agents.
Hmm.
That's it. It's still B2B. It's still outsourcing. Outsourcing is with us for as long as humanity exists, I believe,
Yeah.
or very close to it. So I don't expect anything that happen, right? Really
Hmm.
don't believe it. I think more business, like more amounts of business will come to Europe, but the average ticket level for the project will be smaller.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great perspective. I haven't really thought about it like that. But yeah, you're right. It just depends how you're positioned either way. If you're still selling staff augmentation in Europe, you're in trouble, I think, because you cannot compete on price. And still majority of companies do, so it's even small. So anyways, yeah, it was great. Thank you so much, Martin. And then if people want to check you out, can they find you on LinkedIn or maybe
Yeah,
where's the best
absolutely,
place?
absolutely. I will send you my LinkedIn, not a problem. But
All right.
just type Marcin Dziedzic, and
I'll
you
have a
you.
link. I'll have a link. All right. Great. So thank you so much. And then hopefully we'll be in touch in the
Yeah,
future.
take care.